The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, Longman Simplified English Series read by Mr. Suriya Thongmak. Chapter 2. The fence is whitewashed. Saturday morning had come, and all the world was bright and fresh. There was a song in every heart, cheerfulness in every face, and a spring in every step. Tom appeared on the pavement with a bucket of whitewash and a long handled brush. He regarded the fence thoughtfully, and his heart was filled with despair. 30 yards of fence 9 feet high. It seemed to him that life was not worth living, and that existence was only a burden. Sighing, he dipped his brush into the bucket and passed it along the topmost board, repeated the operation, did it again, compared the trifling whitewashed strip with the immensity of unwhitewashed fence, and sat down on a block discouraged. Jim came dancing out at the gate with a bucket singing. Before this, bringing water from the town pump had always been hateful work in Tom's opinion, but now it did not seem so. He remembered that there was company at the pump. Boys and girls were always there, waiting their turns, resting, exchanging playthings, quarreling, fighting, and fooling about. He remembered that although the pump was only 150 yards away, Jim never got back with a bucket of water in less than an hour. Even then, somebody generally had to go after him. "I say, Jim," said Tom, "I'll fetch the water if you'll whitewash a bit." Jim shook his head. "I can't, Master Tom. The mistress told me not to stay foolish about with anyone." "Oh, never mind what she said. Jim, give me the bucket. I won't be a minute. She won't know." "Oh, I daren't, Master Tom. She would tear my head off. She would really. She never hurts anybody. She just gives them a little slap. And who cares about that? Jim, I'll give you a marble." Jim was only human. This temptation was too much for him. He put down the bucket and took the marble. In another minute, he was flying down the street with the bucket. Tom was washing energetically, and Aunt Polly was returning to the house with a slipper in her hand and a triumphant gleam in her eye. But Tom's energy did not last. He began to think of the fun he had planned for this day. Soon he thought the three boys would come hurrying along on all sorts of delightful trips, and Dad would laugh at him for having to work. The very thought of it burned him like fire. He got down and examined his worldly wealth. It consisted of bits of toys, marbles, and rubbish, and was not enough to buy even half an hour of pure freedom. At this dark and hopeless moment he had an idea, a glorious idea. He took the brush and went calmly to work. Presently Ben Rogers, whose mockery he had been dreading most, came in sight. In his hand there was a fine apple. Tom went on whitewashing and paid no attention to him. Ben stared a moment and then said, "Hi, you're in trouble, aren't you?" There was no answer. Tom regarded his last touch with the eye of an artist. Then he gave his brush another gentle sweep and inspected the result. As before, Ben came nearer. Tom's mouth watered for the apple, but he stuck to his work. "Hello, Tom," said Ben. "You have to work, eh?" "Why, it's you, Ben. I did not ask you. I say, I'm going swimming. Don't you wish you could come?" "But of course you'd rather work, wouldn't you?" "Of course you would." Tom eyed the boy thoughtfully. "What do you call work?" "Why, isn't that work?" Tom filled his brush with whitewash and answered carelessly, "Well, perhaps it is, and perhaps it isn't. But it suits Tom Sawyer." "What? Do you mean to say that? You like it?" The brush continued to move. "Like it? Well, I don't see why I shouldn't like it. A boy doesn't get a chance every day to whitewash a fence." Ben had never thought of this before. He took a bite out of his apple. Tom swept his brush aesthetically to and fro. Then he stepped back to note the effect. He added a touch here and there and criticized the effect again. Ben was watching every move and getting more and more interested. I said, "Tom, let me whitewash a bit," said Ben presently. Tom considered and was about to consent, but he changed his mind. "No, no, you see, Aunt Polly is very particular about this fence. It's fencing the street, you know. If it was the black fence, I wouldn't mind, and she wouldn't." "Yes, she's very particular about this fence. It must be done very carefully. I don't think there is one boy in 1,000, perhaps 2,000, who can do it in the way it has to be done." "Is that so? Interesting. Let me just try. Only just a little. I'll let you, if you were me, Tom." "Ben, I like to really, but Aunt Polly wouldn't like it. Jim wanted to do it, but she wouldn't let him. Sid wanted to do it, but she wouldn't let Sid. Now, don't you see that I'm responsible? If you started to whitewash this fence and anything went wrong—" "Oh, nonsense. I'll be very careful. Now let me try. I'll say I'll give you my apple when I've nearly finished it." "Well, no, Ben, I mustn't, I'm afraid. I'll give you all of it." Tom gave up the brush with unwillingness in his face, but eagerness in his heart. While Ben worked and sweated in the sun, the retired artist sat down a burrow in the shade close by, ate his apple, and planned the downfall of more innocent victims. Boys arrived frequently. They came to mock, but remained to whitewash. By the time Ben was tired out, Tom had promised the next chance to Billy Fisher for a kite in good repair. When Billy retired, Johnny Miller brought his plates for a dead rat and its thing to swing it with. Thus the work went on, hour after hour. By the middle of the afternoon, Tom was wealthy. He had, besides the things mentioned above, 12 marbles, a pair of spectacles without glasses, a piece of blue betel glass to look through, a key that would not unlock anything, a piece of chalk, a tin soldier, 2 tiny frogs, a little cat with only one eye, a brass door handle, a dog collar, the handle of a knife, and an old window frame. He had had a night's idle time and plenty of company, and the fence had 3 coats of whitewash on it. If he had not run short of whitewash, he would have stripped every boy in the village of his proudest possessions. Tom said to himself that life was worth living after all. He had discovered, without knowing it, this dread law of human action. In order to make a man or a boy desire a thing, it is only necessary to make the thing difficult to obtain.